All right. All right, guys, let me make sure everyone's in here. All right, more people trying to get in here. One second, guys. Admit. Okay. All right. So what are we heading into? We're heading into week 3, real life clean cut. This week we start to introduce foods back in. So you may feel really good. You may feel not so good. You may feel like, oh my gosh, that is what was, irritating me, or that's what was bloating me, or that's what was, making me not feel good. Or you may find that something you eat gives you a lot of energy, and then the next thing you eat doesn't give you energy, and it makes you crash. But we really don't know that until we take those things out and we add them back in. So this is the week where you may find some of that stuff.
So before we go into the whole topic of week 3, which is insulin, and we'll get into that in detail. I know that this week can get confusing. I know you look at your menu guide, it's like a half a carbohydrate, a full carbohydrate. What does that mean? What am I supposed to have? So let's just clear that up really quickly. When we say like a half of a carbohydrate or a full carbohydrate, we're talking about out of a package. I'm not talking about your broccoli. I'm not talking about your onions. I'm not talking about your carrots. We're not talking about stuff like that. We're talking about fruit for sure. I mean, berries are really low, but like, we don't want you to like constantly be like eating grapes all day long and having 3 apples and thinking you're doing something that's right for yourself, because you're really just adding a lot of sugar. I'm not saying that fruit is off the table, but that should be something that like you have a quarter of a cup on your yogurt, or you have a couple at night with some chocolate chips. You're on the go and you grab an apple and you have a peanut butter pouch. So it's just not one of those things that I would necessarily have every single day, because we want to save room. And that's what we're going to talk about tonight. So when we talk about like a whole carbohydrate or a half of carbohydrate, if you're an oatmeal person and you have a bowl of oatmeal in the morning, the overnight oats, that's it for the day, my friends. That's it. There's no sprouted bread. There's no sweet potato. There's no quinoa. There's no brown rice. There's no sushi. That was it. And if that's what you love, great, have it. But if it really, you could take it or leave it, then leave it. Or if one day you have that and you end up going out for sushi that night, just don't have one the next day. Right? It's just about the balance of all of it. So if you're still, you like the homemade English muffin and you like 1 egg or half an avocado, whatever's been working for you, and then lunch comes and you really enjoy 2 pieces of sprouted toast, that's it for the day. Unless you're choosing one of those high keto type breads that we found recently, that's really low, right? A piece of sprouted toast has probably 12 net carbs. So if I have 2 pieces of toast, I'm at my 24, I'm at my limit for the day. Out of a package. That doesn't mean you can't have vegetables and all the other stuff. And I'm not so concerned about your sauces when you're cooking dinner. And I'll get into that next. But like physically being like, that's a carbohydrate. That's it for the day. Does that make like, I need a little head nod. Like, it's not like, I wouldn't have 2 slices of toast and have an apple and an orange and berries and a yogurt in a day. All those things are perfectly fine. I would spread that out over a couple of days. Right. But if you're doing like the 647 bread or the keto bread and you have 2 slices of that and you're netting out at 7 or 8 carbs, you have room. You have room to have a sweet potato for dinner. You have room for, a yogurt and some berries. So I just want you to think about the numbers in such a vague, like we're not talking like measuring and counting. It's very simple. It's on the back of a package. We're not asking you to measure or count anything that doesn't come out of it. Just be mindful when you're eating fruit. That's all. Did I have a lot of fruit today? Am I constantly going for fruit now, which makes me hungrier because there's sugar in it? And now I'm not satisfied because I keep going for fruit? Or does fruit really help you at the end of the night? A couple strawberries, a couple of nuts or blueberries, and a couple of chocolate chips is your go-to little snack on the couch and you're good to go. That's great. Have that every single night. That's not going to tip the scale, which is what we're going to talk about tonight. So I hope everyone understands what we mean by that. When you look at that menu guide and you see full carb, half a carb, take the half a carb as like recipes, kind of like take it or leave it. They're food. And it's over a period of and that's what the next topic is. We're going over, that's a whole, you're making 4 to 6 servings, right? So Norma Jean, you asked about like, oh my God, there was 9 grams of sugar. You didn't use the entire bottle and you're not eating 9 grams of sugar in one of your servings. No different than chia pudding. right? If you're putting 1 to 2 tablespoons of honey in it, it's 2 to 4 servings. We would hope you're not eating the entire thing that you made of chia pudding at one time.
Yeah, and it was a crap choice of a brand because later I found my Trader Joe's version of the sweet chili sauce in the back of the fridge, and that had 2 grams of sugar.
There you
in
go.
it.
There you go. I mean, but listen, that's a give or take. Like that 2 to 9 is not going to make or break your day, right? It didn't leave you hungry. It came with protein. You had your vegetable with it, right? All the things that happened with it, even that whole thing out. So don't get too attached to that Trader Joe's brand. It might disappear. So that's what we want to talk about today before we go into the topic. So understanding that the balance of the carbohydrate that you're having. So for a perfect example, today I had 2 pieces of 647 bread and some Flacker crackers this afternoon. My dinner was cauliflower rice at Virginia Wright and turkey meatballs from Trader Joe's. Like that was it. I'm done. I'm not going to have another carbohydrate tonight. I'm done. Actually, I'm done eating. But like, if I chose to have that bread, I still have some room in my day. But we're not asking you to get to 25 to 30 every day. The goal isn't to like, oh my God, I don't have enough in me. If you feel good and you feel satisfied, great. So just keep it in that, under that is the goal. It just gives you room to enjoy things.
Did anybody try a complex carbohydrate and have a good or a bad reaction in the last 2 days? Or has anyone tried any of the keto breads or anything like that?
Tried the 647 bread. It was really good.
Really good.
It tastes like bread.
Like bread. It really does.
I'm really surprised.
Yeah.
I had the multi-grain one because they didn't have the regular, but
That's what I have. I have the
And I-
multi-grain.
it didn't bother me
Yeah.
at all.
I
So,
really like the Arnold
feel like
brand. That's a good one too.
yeah, they didn't have that in Acme. They
Yeah.
didn't have anything.
There's another brand,
I
Karen,
got-
what's the original brand that we used to buy?
Net zero.
Net Zero. Is that what it was called?
It was Slim Foods Net Zero was the
Yeah.
original one that came out, but Arnold's is 10 times better. And that's
Oh my
net zero.
Yeah.
So there's nothing
And
in
it
it.
also went bad very quickly. And I had
Very
bought
quickly.
it one time
it was
and I opened
$10.
it and the middle was moldy. I was like, ugh, yeah. So I
And it was-
really do like the Arnold. I feel like I haven't tried the 647.
The 647. It's so good.
Yeah.
And it's easier to find. The Arnold's newer brands. So
Yeah.
some stores carry it and some don't, or they don't stock enough of it yet.
Right.
But the
Arnold
nice
also has
part,
flats. They
Yeah.
have like flat
Those are
bread too. Yeah, I
Yep.
haven't tried that, but I've tried the regular bread.
but
Yeah,
the
I tried
Arnold's,
those. I tried
Excuse
those this week, the flatbreads, the keto flatbreads, they were really good.
Oh,
they're good, right?
Good.
The Arnold
Yeah.
ones, yeah.
Arnold also has hot dog buns. So this summer, guys, hot dog, hamburger buns, they're all, the Arnold does the whole thing in keto. So you can have a burger and not even think about it. It's free. It's not like it's free. Count it in your day, be aware of it, but it's not gonna, tip that scale for you. So it's just so easy now, guys. It really is. And
The
my
Coco
kids
June
love it.
yogurt is really good too.
Oh, I
Really
love
good.
that. Let me get the wraps too.
That's Lori's favorite is the Coco June.
Yeah, just the pure coconut one.
Yep. It's delicious. I can't
really
have
good.
yogurt. Yogurt just makes me want cake.
These are Trader Joe's. These are, if you haven't seen these, they're the carb savvy tortillas. And they're at Trader Joe's and they are 9 grams of carbs with 6 grams of fiber.
It's nothing, guys.
Yeah.
It's less than an apple.
Yeah, those are pretty awesome.
Yeah. And you know what I've done with
And
these
as
too?
well as the
Little
7.
hint, I've sprayed some of the avocado oil cooking spray on it. And I folded it in half and stuffed it and baked it, and it makes it crispy. So it's not like a full on hardcore street hard taco, but it gives a little crispiness. That's another little treat you could do, but these are good.
Those are good. And then the other brand that we posted in there, I can never remember the name of it. Starts with a T. I'll find it. It's in your portal. I just can't for some reason.
Tomorrow's.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, I used to use that one all the time.
They're great.
But yeah, they are good. And they have
They're
a
great.
couple
They're
different
bigger.
flavors. They have the sun-dried tomato, they have
Yep.
spinach, there's a couple flavors too that are good.
And those are called the Carb Wise. Am I correct? They're
Right, yeah, or
Carb
something
Wise.
like that. Yeah.
And they're bigger.
I actually have them. If you want me to grab them, I'll show everybody.
Yeah, you can grab it and like read the back to us and let us know. And they're bigger than the Trader Joe's ones. And those are easy to find. When you go to the deli in your supermarket, that brand that she's going to come back with are typically like in the deli section. Like, you know, like sometimes they have the wraps over here and the breads, and then they have all the different breads underneath the deli. That's typically where they are. So sometimes you're looking for them, but you can't find them because they're in the deli section.
Yeah, so these I find in Stop and Shop, like they're right in front of the deli counter on
Tomorrow,
the
yeah.
shelf there. It's got 60 calories, total fat 2 grams, carbs 12 gram, dietary fiber 7 gram, total sugar is 1 gram, and then protein 5 grams.
Check, done.
Yep.
Taco Tuesday. And if you don't have a Trader Joe's near you, Acme, Stop and Shop, Food Town, all of those big grocery stores will have it. But like you said, it's at the deli counter. They do come in all different flavors. They're fun. They're great. So again, it's not having it. It's just having the right product.
And if you guys see a product, because we're sort of everywhere, if you see a product that you like that we post, you can even go to the website and it'll tell you where to find it. Like, you know, if there's a grocery store by you, where to find it.
All right. Can you give me permission to share my screen?
I can, hold on.
So this topic, guys, is like,
Wait a minute. Sorry. Stop share. Okay, you're good now.
so, dear God, how do I get to it? Hold on.
Share screen, share content.
I don't know how to get, hold on a second. Escape out of you. I'm gonna get to here. Coming back to you people. Hold on. Share. Okay. Share. Can you see? Wait, I have to go back. How do I go back? Stop sharing. Hold on. This is not my strong suit, just so we're all
You
very
hit the
clear.
button back, that's all on your.
Yeah, that sounds really easy, Lauren. Okay. Here we go. Share screen. Okay, so this
Can't see
is
it now, there you go.
okay. All right, we're in. Okay, so if you haven't figured out yet, I love visuals. So good fat, we know burns fat. We know it's good for our, digestive. It keeps us full longer. It's good for our hair. We're all feeling it. We understand it. We're not scared of it anymore. We're kind of finding the amount that we need to keep us full and keep us satisfied. Fiber, we just talked about it again and again and again. Not only is it great for cleaning out your colon, keeping you full longer, lowering your insulin levels, which we're going to get to, keeping your glucose levels low, which is part of the insulin, and just the overall benefits for your heart health, right? Because we want to keep everything in check, your gut health, all those things. So now we move into insulin. This is where the visualization, the understanding of why we don't eat as many carbohydrates as we think we need to, and why we limit this, and why we leave room for the things that we love. So, and how we do this, and the tricks and the tips we have to make sure that we keep this key component in check. We're not talking about being diabetic, because we all create insulin and we all have too much of it at times and maybe too little at times. So it's a very simple scientific thing, right? We eat within like 20 minutes or so, depending on what you eat, right? Like if you take a shot of apple juice, it's pretty quick. If you're having an avocado, it's a little bit longer, right? The glucose goes into your bloodstream. Like it's the first thing that happens. So your body reacts, we'll talk about digestion later, but it goes through your system, and the glucose goes into your bloodstream. Now, the second that the glucose is in your bloodstream, your pancreas is like, it's time to kick in. Let's give it some insulin, right? So the glucose is floating around. Now, depending on how much glucose, depending on what you ate, depends on how much insulin is going to be released, right? We want to match like a 1-for-1, if you want to think of it like that, right? Like it's like a 1-for-1 kind of thing. So if I'm eating an Oreo, I have a shot of sugar to my bloodstream. That's a shot of glucose. That means it's a high shot of insulin, right? So the more fat foods we eat, and the fiber we eat, and the protein we eat, the lower this happens. This is why we're taking this in steps. So the glucose goes into your bloodstream, the glucose levels go up, your insulin's like, hello, I'm coming in, I'm coming to unlock it, here I come. So now the insulin and the glucose, they're like a 1-in-1, they're coming together. The only thing that insulin does for us, well, several things, it goes into your cell. It is the key that goes into your cell to physically unlock your cell so that your cell can open up so that the glucose can move from your blood into the cell. If your glucose does not move from your blood inside of your cell, you can never use it as energy. What is energy? A calorie, right? What is calorie? Food. So if you can't get this glucose to move inside of your cell, it just stores. It stores and stores and stores. There's nowhere to go. It stores the fat. So the insulin has to do this job. We're all healthy people. If we eat a lot of sugar, we're gonna have a lot of insulin. It's gonna do, our body's gonna do what it's supposed to do. But if we have so much insulin and so much glucose, and we are literally stuffing that cell just gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. I'm just storing and storing and storing and storing. It's fat, guys. We don't want a constant dump of glucose with a constant dump of insulin, because all we're doing is collecting energy. Energy collected is stored fat. We want to use energy. We want to burn energy, right? So very simply, like same thing, right? Insulin is the receptor from the pancreas, comes in, here's your little key, it opens it up. The glucose gets to go in, right? From your carbohydrates. That's where this comes from. All of your sugar, your carbohydrates, fiber not included because it doesn't affect your insulin, because your body doesn't have a glucose reaction to fiber. This is why fiber is free. Your body does not have a glucose reaction to fiber. It has it to starch and it has it to sugar. So that glucose reaction is kicking in the insulin. The pancreas is kicked in and now the insulin comes in. So now it's all getting in there and it's nice and stored. This is fine. We want this to happen, but we want this to happen on a scale where like it's coming, we're using, it's coming, we're using, not it's coming, and we're not using. Right? So that's the goal. The goal is to constantly be revving and using it, which is our metabolism, our habits, our eating habits. If we're grazing, are we cheating too much? Are we having constantly sugary foods in all of our meals? Are we cheating from Friday to Sunday and it's a constant roadblock and then we're trying to undo it Monday through Thursday? Right? So all those choices that you're making will create this reaction in your body. So the insulin that releases, so if we have this like steady state of insulin, which is that green line right there, that's your metabolism, right? If I have these spikes and these drops and these spikes and these drops, that is a erratic roller coaster of a metabolism. That is not revving, right? We talked about this in the beginning, like the good fat and the sugar. Like I want that straight line to the finish line. And the way that you create that is with your food choice, the timing of your food, your exercise, and sleep, water, hydration, all of those things affect your hormones, right? So the goal here is to keep our insulin in this really nice bell curve, not this erratic roller coaster that this is on. So if you think about all the food choices you've made so far, right? You're not hungry, or you're not starving an hour and a half later. You're not crashing and burning. You're not craving more sugar. Because we're correcting. We're correcting what was happening, right? Step by step, we're correcting it, whether it's, starting with your gut health and all the pieces happen at the same time. We're just going through these week by week, right? So everything you're doing right now and you're feeling good and it's working is because the system's starting to clear out, right? The roadblocks, you don't have these roadblocks anymore. You're starting to go like, right? And even when you have a little cheat, that one cheat doesn't derail you completely, because you're like, you snap right back out of it. The next day you get back to clean, you exercise, you drink your water, and you're flushing and you're moving right back out of it. So this is our favorite slide. People print this, they put it on their refrigerators. So if you had to visualize your insulin tank, right? So this is all your food choices. Let's just call it what this is, down to whatever you're drinking. These are your food choices. So this is food choice 1, and this is food choice 2. This is empty, guys. I mean, this is like a putting. Like you need like $5 of gas to get to the next station. This is pretty low, right? So if you think about it like that, like filling your tank, right? If you have a full tank, you can go for hours and hours and hours. You don't have to stop for gas for a really, really long time when you have a full tank. But if you're constantly like putting in $10, you get to the next thing, you feel good. You're like, oh, I need to reboot a little bit. Let me put in $10, right? There's nothing wrong with doing this, but you got to use all of it. I don't want you to fill your tank and then like you didn't use a lot of it and you start to add to it. We want you to use the tank that you're filling, right? So the food choices that you have. So for instance, like this is really low, right? So let's just use this tank for a side, the empty tank for a second. So I wake up and I have chia pudding. And like I bump it to here. We have some berries on it. I bump it to here. For lunch, I have a salad and grilled chicken. I'm not really eating any carbohydrate today. I'm drinking all of my water because I'm going to go out for dinner, right? So I'm going to leave it like here because I'm going out for a really big pasta dinner later and I'm having 2 glasses of wine, maybe 3, and I'm going to have dessert. I'm having more than 3 bites. You need to physically leave like 3/4 of your tank for that so that your tank doesn't spill over. Because once your tank spills over, you're storing fat. So if you can keep this tank in check, we don't want it to be your martini glass that you're constantly living like this, that if you try to put it on the table, it's going to spill over. So we want to always have a little bit of room so that you have choices. So if I'm going to go out for dinner and I'm going out for dinner tomorrow night and I'm going to enjoy myself, I'm not going to overdo it. I'm not going to have a single carbohydrate tomorrow. Not even the 647 bread. It's not even like, because you know what? 647 bread comes with extra peanut butter, a little extra jelly. I'm just going to like be all protein and good fat tomorrow because I'm going to enjoy myself tomorrow night. I'm going to give myself enough room to enjoy myself. This day, this full tank could be one of 2 things. It could be a complete cheat, right? Which is fine. You just have to use it up the next day. You can't just let the one day cheat go to the next day cheat, because if you don't let this tank come down a little bit, you don't have any room for a bacon, egg, and cheese the next day because you had everything you wanted the night before. It's choices, right? So this tank you can get this tank several ways. You can get this tank by cheating. You could also get this tank by having oatmeal in the morning, yogurt for a little snack, 2 slices of bread, a little Flackers crackers with some Kite Hill cream cheese or cream cheese, and then you're having quinoa for dinner. You're still filling the tank up. So this is where we feel like a lot of people go wrong, where they think they're doing everything right because it's healthy, or I'm having the quinoa pasta, but I'm not having a serving of it. I'm having 4 servings of it. You're fluffing that tank, guys. Just because it's healthy doesn't mean it doesn't move that needle up in that tank. So the goal is to keep it here or lower. Right? If you get to here, what you need to do the next day is take your carbohydrate count down. I would take if I got all the way to here, visualizing it, right? Like everything I just said, or you had like a big cheat. It was Sunday, you had a bagel in the morning, you had your Chinese food at dinner, you are full. You are to the brim. The next day, you have no room. You don't even have room for sprouted bread. You just got to use it a little bit. I'm not saying you have to get back down to empty, but you got to get back down enough that the choice of healthy carbohydrate is not spilling you over and causing the wrong effect that we're trying for it to cause, right? So if you could just start to visualize, you could feel it too. You know when you're like food coma sluggish, or when you're like shaky, I need food feeling. Right? We've all been food coma, where you wake up the next day and you are like, I would be happy to not eat a morsel of food today. That's your tank spilled over. So a couple ways to get the tank down. 1 would be going back to week 1. 2, exercise. 3, intermittent fasting, which we'll talk about next week. All of those things are free, and all of those things are healthy choices. And they all will use the tank, right? Because food is energy. Energy is stored. Stored needs to be used. So it's a very simple structure if you look at it. So if you think about 3 weeks ago and where you were and what you were eating, and like it could have all been healthy, and you're like, wow, I was having like a really healthy wrap for breakfast, egg whites, which now we know are not so good for us, egg whites in a whole wheat tortilla, and I put a half of an avocado on it, and then I had my yogurt and my berries, and then for dinner I had like brown rice or brown rice quinoa or whatever it is you had, and you thought everything you were doing was right, and then you had 2 glasses of wine. You're like, whatever, I had 2 glasses of wine. Guys, it wasn't the 2 glasses of wine. It was the combination of all that you put together in that one day that brought your tank to the top, that the 2 glasses of wine just spilled it over. Because if I keep my tank pretty low, I have pretty room for 2 glasses of wine. I do. It's just the choice that you want to make. And then it's being honest to it and not finding the excuses in it. And then giving yourself grace when some days just don't go as well. Just know that there's tomorrow, you can undo it. Right? Every day is not perfect. Questions on this? Does this make sense? I think I'm done. I'm gonna
I
leave
have a
this.
question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So it's actually two questions. So, and you may have shared this before, but I just wanted to confirm, and again, not trying to super duper count, but we're trying to stay under 25 net carbs per day. Is that
Correct.
kind of an average? Okay,
Yeah.
that's super helpful. And then all these visuals are really helpful, and I really appreciate you laying them out like this. So my question with the 2 glasses of wine,
Yep.
my understanding is that if you have a couple glasses of wine, 1 glass of wine, like it affects your metabolism because your body metabolizes that first. So for
Right.
example, this weekend,
Yep.
I was doing dry January, made it to the 28th, had 2 glasses of wine. Thank you. Ate clean, other than those 2 glasses of wine, but I was almost 2 pounds heavier going into the week. So can you explain a little bit to me how that all works? And yeah, just want to
So-
make sure I'm not sabotaging myself.
You're not sabotaging yourself. And
Okay.
and I would not go by that scale. And I'm sure some of that was water, because you can't put 2 pounds on in a day.
Mhm.
And you can't put 2 pounds on with 2 glasses of wine, because it's not even that many calories to put on that much wine. I mean, that much weight, right? If we're going to
Yeah.
actually count a calorie as a pound, you didn't drink enough of it to put on 2 pounds.
Yeah. And
It
it
was
was
your body's
Prosecco, you know, like the
Right. It was
lowest
your
carb.
body's reaction to it, right? So let's
So
be
let
clear.
me just, Karen, can I piggyback on
Yeah,
that?
yeah,
You
go ahead.
have to burn 3,200 excess calories to burn 1 pound of fat. So if you go in the opposite direction, you have to eat a lot of I'm not saying it has 3,200, but you have to eat a lot of calories to put that pound of fat on.
Right.
And with that sugar, which Karen will explain right now, is why you would hold that water.
Okay.
So when you drink, I mean, listen, it is toxic. Let's be very clear. So there's benefits to red wine, but when you're drinking, like, we actually have a document, we'll put it up for you, what happens when you're drinking. So when you're drinking, like you could have like 3 sips of wine, you're like, ooh, I feel it, right? You get warm all of a sudden, you're sipping a bourbon, it feels good. It is so quickly metabolized, it passed by everything. It passes the carbohydrate, it passes the protein, it passes the fat. It will go directly to your liver to be metabolized. It is literally like a shot out of a cannon. So what happens is it shunts everything else. So ideally, when you're drinking, keeping your carbohydrate really low is best, because then the carbohydrate's stored, because it's got to get through the liquor first before it's going to move to the food. So like the order without alcohol would be carbohydrate first, right? So the first thing your body's going to use is fuel, because the easiest thing for it to use is fuel is carbohydrate.
Mm-hmm.
And then it moves to the fat, right? So once the alcohol is put in, everything else is second. Alcohol's
Right.
first. So like you have a drink, you have 2 drinks, you have 3 drinks, the alcohol is still winning this little battle, right? So like, even though you ate really clean, which I'm sure you did, it's just that was being metabolized first. And you also haven't had a drink in a month.
Right.
So your body's like reacting, right? It's probably holding on to some water. There's the sugar component to it. So I wouldn't make yourself crazy and not enjoy a glass of wine or 2. But it's just recognize that when you're doing it, it might be best, unless you're cheating, by all means, right? To just keep the carbohydrate really low while you're drinking, just so you can kind of combat that, what's being metabolized first, right?
That
So
makes
that, like, if the carbohydrate's not there, at least if we're doing the alcohol first, we can skip the carbohydrate and go to the protein and fat.
Yep.
I mean,
Thank
little
you.
hacks here and there, but in the scheme of life, it's really not that big of a deal if you have some keto bread and like a low carb meal with a glass of wine or 2, and just drink extra water with your wine. That's all. You just got to flush it out.
Thanks.
And what I will tell you is, as we get into our real life, right? Because we want to live real life. Like, we don't want to be obsessing over this all the time. And once you get into that rhythm of going out and having your wine, and, so let's say, for example, you have a clean week, a clean night, you're gonna have a few glasses of wine, you had a low carb day. The next day, don't get on that scale, and you're going to go back to one of your hacks, right? And in one day, you're going to be right where you were. right? Like, because you're balancing it out. If you
Right.
go out and you have that all out cheat, that's okay too. You have your pasta that you love because it's homemade. You have a few glasses of wine or, you know, whatever you're drinking. And then you decide to have a little extra dessert or a slice of bread on the table. Again, that's okay. It's a matter of what are you going to do the next day to counterbalance that. Don't get on the scale those days because those numbers aren't going to be legit. Get your mind around like, okay, I did this and it was super fun and I'm not going to beat myself up over it. And now this is what I do to get myself back. And the more you do it, the quicker you get to get back to that neutral position. And you're going to find what works for you too. Like you're going to know that, okay, I can have this in the morning after I drink, or some drinks you may feel like I can't have this, but this makes me feel better. I may feel as bloated if I have X, Y, and Z. So maybe you save the thing you love for that extra special time. But again, it's going to be a hit or miss, and you'll be able to find that balance. It's a matter of what we call don't get a case of the fuckets, where you go out and you drink and then you open up the cabinet, right? And you open up 3 chip bags, or the next morning you eat 2 bagels and you drink a chocolate milk because you want to feel better, or a Coke or something like that, right? So it's a matter of just taking that pause and being like, okay, like I'm not going to beat myself up over it, but I'm not going to go overboard. And that's just practice. And it's not always going to be perfect, as we said, but don't beat yourself up if it's not perfect, because now you're understanding and learning what you could do to get back on track and not just, and that's the most important thing.
Totally. And like, there's 2 things to that, right? Like there's like, you know, talk to yourself, you know, we're going to get into that later on in the program, but like to have the conversation with yourself. You've had 2 glasses of wine, you sitting on the couch, you really want that, you know, bag of chips or whatever, but like, how do you want to feel tomorrow? Is it worth it? Is it? And if it's worth it to you, then have it. Then the next day, you just have to undo it by taking something else out. But I would hate for you to lay your head on the pillow being mad at yourself, or the second you open your eyes being like, fuck, oh my God, I ate the chips. Right? It's going to happen. It still happens to me. Like sometimes I'm like I have to like do like that. I'm like, oh man, I did. All right. So I'm just not going to do it again today. Right? If you just give yourself grace, and instead of having the guilt that goes with it, that stress level goes away. So now you can calmly speak to yourself kindly and make the better choice. Because if you start saying you're an idiot, you did this wrong, you can't do it, then you're not going to do it. If you just say, fucked up, I made a choice I didn't want to make, I made it, I can undo it, I'm an adult. It's food, guys. You know, it's just food. There's nothing you can't undo. Safely, obviously. What was the question? I'm in the chat, guy, Laura.
So Wendy's in Dallas and she has a little bit of trouble finding some of the things we recommend.
Mm-hmm.
So I just asked her about, you know, where she shops so we can help her.
Okay.
Oh, that's just about the bread. That was just commenting back about the bread, because one of you asked me to post the label.
Yep.
The
Yeah.
because the other breads that have been recommended, I just haven't found them, but there's other alternatives. So
Yeah,
there's
there's tons out there. So just post the label up. I'm sure it's fine. And then with kefir, this is the thing. Plain kefir is the best because it's not sweetened and you can control the sweetness in it.
okay.
Want to add something to it. But if you look at the different kefirs, and Karen's really good at kefir because she drinks it every day, but some of the flavors look really yummy, but there's a lot of added sugar in it. So you just want to look at that.
Yeah. And that's kind of what I was doing. I was like, you know what, I'm just going to wait and ask the question, because the ones that seemed most appealing didn't have the labels.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing with kefir. The only one that you should get is the unsweetened.
Okay, perfect.
And the amount that you're drinking, it's like literally. So like if I had my kefir in my refrigerator, me and my visuals, I would, because I'm the only one that drinks it. I take it out, I shake it, and I literally go, look, look. I drink it. I go, look, look. I drink it, and that's my amount.
Perfect.
Probably a quarter cup. It
Yeah.
tastes like it's not bad actually. It's kind of like a vanilla flavor. It literally tastes like melted down yogurt, Greek yogurt.
Okay.
That's what it
Perfect.
tastes
I've
like.
had liquid yogurt before because I've used it for like protein.
That's what it's
shakes
like.
Stuff in the past. So I think it's definitely the lesser of, because I hate sauerkraut.
You won't mind it.
Now, I wonder if you put that in a protein drink,
You can do that.
mixed it in the, you know what I mean? I never
Totally.
thought about that before.
Totally.
That could be something to maybe make it smoother. We'll have to play with that a little bit.
Totally. Like if you pour it in a glass, it looks like heavy cream.
Yeah, yep.
It's silky. There's no texture to it. It's really, I like it. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think you'll hate it. You don't need a flavor to get it down. You have to drink such a little amount for the probiotic portion of it
Yeah,
that you can get down unsweetened.
perfect. Thank
Yeah.
you.
No
Yeah,
problem.
you got it.
Quick question about the sauerkraut.
Mhm.
You just eat a tablespoon of it every day or?
I eat it before I start eating. So like before my lunch, I probably have 2 tablespoons before my lunch.
I
If
put
I'm
it in
really
my
hungry, I
eggs
have
or with
3.
my eggs. I top my eggs with it.
Oh, okay. But you could put it like on a cracker or something?
Sure.
You could put it in a salad too. You can
Okay,
mix
I
it
can
in
do
with the
that.
salad.
Okay. All right, thank you.
I mean, I'm curious when you guys start it and you're consistent with it, tell me how you're feeling. I have found that real fermented food is the best way to go. And it's cheaper. It's just easier. The prebiotic, on the other hand, is the harder one. Like it's just a hard thing to be consistent with. Like, I don't think you're just going to chew on dandelion every day.
So like if you mix it, like say I wanted to put it into the soup, I can put like a tablespoon into the soup
Sure.
and that it'll
yeah.
still
Totally.
do what it's got to do.
Totally.
Yeah, let us know how that goes. How it
Totally.
tastes, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, as long as you're ingesting it anyway, it's totally fine. But again, like we said from the beginning, there's kind of like your non-negotiables, right? Like your water's a non-negotiable. We're trying to get apple cider vinegar to be a non-negotiable. A probiotic is a non-negotiable. I mean, if you go with a pill, just pick one of the brands that we put up there because they are quality brands and you kind of have to, try it out. But the easiest thing to do is just find the product that works for you or food and just be consistent with it. No different than like I work out every once in a while. Well, that doesn't work. I cheat every once in a while. That's great. You're not going to gain weight. If you use your probiotic every once in a while, it's also not going to work. So it's something you just have to do. And it's just finding the system that works for you. Like I would say, guys, ideally a morning or a night routine and sticking to it. Right? Whatever time of the day is best for you. For me, it's the morning. Like I'm like robotic in the morning. I just come downstairs. I have my green powder. My coffee's being brewed. I put my ginger in my water. I'm like literally like robotic. I'm like, I have my 2 drinks and I walk out the door. And it's just finding the rhythm that works for you. And if it's setting it up the night before, so it's easier in the morning, but you just got to figure out what works for you because once in a while do not work.
Has anybody tracked, how the food is making them feel? And have they noticed anything good or bad?
I was feeling, so I have 2 things. First of all, I got the Organifi, the green juice, and I really like it. I think it's like the best tasting one I've ever had.
So yummy.
Awesome.
We have a discount code for
and-
that too, if anybody wants that.
Yeah, I used your discount code.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Great.
And I've been kind of doing the same thing like routine, like the apple cider vinegar, the kefir, which I like as well.
Good.
But this morning I put the apple cider vinegar with water and the green juice Organifi and like a little bit of lemon juice. It was really good.
Oh, somebody asked me about that today. It's total sidebar.
Yeah.
Jules, Teresa. She was like, I can't figure out how to get the apple cider. She goes, could I put it in my green juice? I go, I don't see why not. Tell me what happens. And she did it this morning. She sent me a picture. She goes, bottoms up. She's like, it's not
Yeah,
bad.
it was really good.
So you
I was
put the
surprised,
apple cider
'cause-
vinegar in the green powder with your water, shook it up, and lemon. You said lemon?
A little bit of lemon, yeah.
Lemon. All right. I'm gonna try it.
Yeah, and
What is that?
yeah, I
stuff?
was like enjoying it.
Yay.
So
Yay. That means you're
It
gonna
has a
do
good
it.
taste. It has a good taste. I think it's the mint. It's that mint that comes in
Yeah.
on the end.
So
Yeah,
what
I
is the
agree.
green juice? Because I am struggling with apple cider vinegar and just water, and I'm not a big tea person.
Let
Okay,
me, I'm
put
gonna
it in
post it
there,
up in the
Emma.
chat. I'll post it up in the chat.
It is I'm gonna actually pull it up online because it's
I'll put our code in and everything. I gotta just pull it up. Organifi.
I also got the gold, which is like the nighttime tea
Yeah.
one. And
Yeah,
I found that like really helps as well because it's like hot and takes me a little while to drink it. And it like fills that space of wanting something while I'm watching TV at night.
Awesome.
we just ordered the gold and I also have the Harmony, which is the chocolate, and you can drink that at night as well. But what I found is I'm not consistent at night. So I just stick it in my green juice. But if you're consistent at night and can do that, that's amazing because it's just nice and warm.
Jen, I put the green one, I put the chocolate in my greens every morning.
Yep.
Oh, good.
I love it. Like I look forward to
Crazy about
drinking.
it.
I know.
All right, I'm putting into the chat right
Jen's like, I
now.
don't want any powder. Give me a pill.
Didn't want it. I didn't want it.
Listen, again, you have to find what works for you, right? And if a powdered drink doesn't work for you and you're going to gag it down and you're going to buy it and stare at it, it's not going to work. So if you're better off with a pill, then a pill works for you. It's not wrong. It's what works for you.
Is it OrganifiShop.com? Is that what it is?
Yeah. Am I on? Can you see my board right now?
Yeah. So I put it's 20% off if you use code Clean Cut. You guys get that. So
And
Check
we
that
only like the mint one,
well, the
anyone have
green has mint in it.
Yeah, oh, okay,
has
so
mint
either
in
one
it.
has mint?
Yeah, I right now do the Harmony and the green juice, and then we just ordered the red juice and we ordered the gold. Oh, Karen has the gold.
No, I have. Yes, you
No.
do. You're right. I have the gold. The gold. No. Which one do I have? Hold on. I gotta
It's
move it.
harm,
Yeah, you have
isn't
the
it?
gold.
I have Harmony from Jen because Jen didn't like it. And then here, this one, but it's still in the box. I like it. This is chocolate flavored. That's what I put in my, but this is like,
Yeah, I
that's
put
what
it in my green.
Yeah,
one. It's yummy.
It wasn't bad. I'm not a big, like, I feel like it needed to be hot and I'm not a big, like, sit down and have a hot chocolate every
Totally.
night. Yeah, like that was
Totally.
too much. It's too much for me. Like, it's too much.
Yep.
I
get it.
would start with the green juice, guys. I
Okay.
would start with that. Like
They
just
do-
start with that, and then there's other add-ons that you can have.
And the green juice comes in the original and it does come in this green crisp apple, but I've never tried this one.
Yeah, me neither.
But they have all different, listen, I think this product's superior and it's actually pretty cheap considering what it is.
And one of the doctors that we follow highly also recommends this product, and I really respect her. And she really likes this product as well.
Mental clarity and
Yeah.
digestion.
Here, that's what we just ordered, Karen.
Oh, I can't
Pure
wait to try
red
that.
we just ordered,
Oh, I'm
yeah.
excited.
So
Okay.
we like to order stuff and try it too. So we'll do like an unboxing of that and tell you how we like it.
So this is what I've been having in the morning. So my morning routine is this green with the Harmony, this chocolate, and my collagen
Me too.
with my water. I shake it up. I have that before I have a single thing. Before I have my water, before I have my coffee, it is what the first thing that hits my stomach. I have that while my coffee is brewing. I make my water and I head out the door.
What collagen do you use?
Right now, Trader Joe's.
Oh, really?
Mhm. It has it's cheap and it has everything that collagen's supposed to have in it.
Okay.
Weird. Like it's just and it has MCT oil in it, so it's got like the
Which
The good
helps you
fat in
keep
it.
you full which help keeps you full. So
it does. And Vital Proteins is easy to find and is a great one of the top rated.
that's the
you
one
know,
I use.
Yeah. And you
So
can do
these are all
vanilla
good products,
chocolate.
guys, that are, I mean, if it try it and see if it works for you. Most of these are gonna give you some benefit, if not all. I mean, I feel amazing on this product. It's really good.
Me too.
And trust me
the
when I
other
tell you,
thing-
someone asked Karen and I once, do you guys ever ever do products you hate? And there's plenty of products that we've tried that we don't recommend and that we hate. We just don't post them up because we're not going to bash other,
We learned that lesson. We were doing a live on yogurts, right? On non-dairy yogurts. So we're in Lori's kitchen. This is probably 2 years ago. So we went to the supermarket and we bought all these different non-dairy yogurts because at this point, we could not find one and everyone was asking for one. So we put them out, we put them in bowls and we were trying them all and some were good. Nothing was terrible. Nothing was we would be like, okay, this is a little thin. This was it. And Kite Hill, we love Kite Hill. We're big promoters of Kite Hill. It's I think if we can go back and find the live, you could probably see it. We literally I couldn't hide it. I was like, it tasted like medicine. I literally was like, Kite Hill, you do everything right. Don't do yogurt. It was so bad. And from there on out, we've decided we videotape any products that we're doing because you couldn't hide it. It wasn't like we were pretending. I was like, this is awful. I spit it out.
Well, we tried those cookies the other day too. I was at a conference a couple weeks ago and I got some of these protein cookies and the package looked good. You know what I mean? Like it's all a clean cut approved and they just didn't taste good. So we wouldn't post that stuff up.
And it was like one of those things where it was like this one tiny cookie and it wasn't that great. And that was the serving. I was like, that did nothing for me. Like, that's a no. Right? If I can't have more than one, the answer is no. One doesn't do it for me. I don't know about you guys, but one doesn't do it for me.
So that's what we want you guys to sort of look at this week is how the foods are making you feel as you add them back in, right? So as you're adding carbs back in, does it give you energy? Does it make you crash? Are you hungrier? Don't forget about your healthy fats. What's getting you through? Did you bloat from something that you added back in?
Yeah.
Right? We had somebody a couple years ago that would only bloat. She figured it out. It was just the black beans. Any other beans was good. But it took her forever to figure out it was just a black bean versus another bean. So little things like that, like just take notice of things that's making you feel good, making you feel bad. And now it's the fun part, adding stuff back in and seeing how you feel and adding more to your new recipes.
I'm looking at that collagen right now.
Yeah.
It's,
I feel like I've heard of that. Any other questions, guys? And if anybody, everyone seems to be doing really great. If you feel like you're not doing great or you're stuck or something, private message us or post up. Like, don't feel like you're alone. Because not everyone can get through with flying colors, like there's all different things going on. So just post up if anything's going on, good or bad.
Let me know if you want me to post that collagen on the Facebook page.
yeah, post it up. I'm looking at it right now. It's interesting. Do you feel different on it?
I candidly, I don't know that I feel any differently on it necessarily, but I've had a lot of joint issues and it seems to be one of the few that has the right mix of collagen for joint support. And so I think I'm take it out of habit more than anything now, but I'd be curious about the Trader Joe's too.
You know what? I'm gonna look and compare the two.
Can I ask you a question about the joint issue? Did you find that your joints felt better when you started the collagen or when you started clean cut? I'm just curious.
Oh, so this is ongoing, like years, like hip surgery, the whole nine, like a lot of stuff. My body responds from a joint perspective. I can't say I've noticed anything specific with clean cut just yet, but I will say overall, my body responds much better to clean cut, healthy fats, limited carbs, that kind of scenario. And so it's hard to pinpoint exactly what is, helping just because I've done them both consecutively. Right. But I definitely feel better doing both. Overall.
Yeah, definitely. Because we've had numerous people with like joint issues that were just chronic joint issues or skin issues and just taking certain things out. Right.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden like, oh, all right. I had a client that I worked with for a while and it was shrimp and mussels but she could have other seafood, but like every time she ate and she loved them, she had them numerous times a week. She took it out and her joint pain went away and she put it back in, came back. So it was like, it took us like trying to figure that out. Right. Yeah. It could be just some sort of food that is just inflaming you, but the collagen is amazing for joints. So stick with that for sure. And just notice if you happen to have some joint pain, like what you had to eat too before.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I probably don't do a good enough job and maybe I just haven't had any major issues lately. So, in general,
that's great. That's great.
Don't notice it as much. So yeah,
that's a good thing.
Yes,
so monk fruit syrup is fine. Monk fruit's fine. It's just a matter of like, do you like that taste? Just make sure there's nothing else added to it. If it's just monk fruit, that's good.
I despise monk fruit. Despise. You can tell, you can like try this thing and not tell me what's in it the second I start eating it. Like, I'm like, oh, it's so good. It's so good. And like, as it's like hitting the back of my throat, I'm like, there's monk fruit in here.
But yeah, if you
It's
don't,
like a love-hate thing.
yeah.
I just want to say was feeling so good. And then it was my daughter's birthday on Sunday. So I had pizza and cupcakes and I felt terrible after and the next day. And I was like, I mean, I knew that I was feeling good, but it just like hit me like bricks, like, wow, the difference. And I
Mhm.
also realized like, that's how I used to feel all the time. And I was always like tired and just felt lethargic and could never figure out why. And it was wild.
That's
So,
that's an eye opener, right?
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, if you take it back to the simple roots of where we started, right? Food is energy. Like what you feed yourself is what you're going to get, right? So,
Yep.
and even every once in a while, sometimes zap you, sometimes they don't. You know, it could have been, it's a combination of a lot of things, but it could have just been too much of it at one time. Like you had the pizza and the cupcakes, like, and you just, you know, like maybe it was one slice of pizza, it wouldn't have been that big of a deal, but you know, you undo it. It's no big deal.
Yeah.
When I eat pizza, I wake up in the middle of the night, like I am so thirsty. Like it's just annoyingly thirsty that like sometimes I'm like, pizza's not that worth it. It's not worth it.
Depends on the pizza.
Oh, yeah, I agree. or you got to know what's going to happen. And I don't feel like guilty about it. Like I knew
Right.
that I was going to do that and I don't feel guilty about it at all, but it just like the difference, the way it made me feel was insane.
Yep. Totally.
I love that you felt that. So just remember that feeling, right? You know, how good you feel.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Amazing, guys. All right, guys, we'll keep going this week. If you have any questions, reach out. You guys are crushing it. And then really just let us know if you have any feelings on, as you put foods back, how you're feeling. And reach out if you need anything.
Mwah.
All right.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.